Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto becomes the demonic Nemesis? Part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. It was peaceful in Konohagakure no Sado, also known as the village hidden in the leaves. Twilight was just ending, and the night was beginning with the appearance of the first stars in the night sky. The scene was tranquil in every sense, with the fading light capturing the village until Akimasu was the rather loud appreciation Tucci and Ayamavichiraku received from their favorite customer Uzumaki Naruto, the so-called demon brat among other special names. To this day Naruto couldn't understand the meaning of the names, or what he had done to deserve his titles. Naruto couldn't help but think, I know I've pulled a lot of pranks over the years, but to be called a demon, and to be treated the way I do, it just doesn't make sense. I didn't even start my pranks until my second year in the academy, but the names have been flying around since I can remember. These thoughts rolled through Naruto's mind almost daily since the names were used just as often, but that didn't matter tonight. Tonight was a very special night for Naruto. Not only was he going to pull off his most ingenious prank ever, but it was also the night before his Genin exam. Tonight he planned to get revenge on the stuck-up wide-eyed teens. Out of all the times he had been mistreated, beaten, thrown out of stores, and refused service, never had someone done what these times had done. It was unforgivable. Naruto-kun, are you really going to go through with doing a prank on the Hyuga, are you? Was the concerned question from Aim, knowing just, as every other villager, the physical and political might the clan wielded. In a solemn voice Naruto replied, Aim Nichin, you've seen how I've been treated all my life. Tucci and Aim looked down, remembering everything they had seen. I can ignore all of that, because I have a few people like you who are kind to me, but after what those three said, and did, as he said those words Naruto's first tightened until his chopsticks cracked apart in his hand, as he remembered the indignity he suffered at the hands of those men. At least after a beating he had his pride, but these men didn't even allow him that. The night before. Thanks for dinner Tucci-chiji, said Naruto, as he began to stand from his stool. Anytime Naruto, you just train hard for your exam. With the cheers from his favorite chef Naruto began to leave his favorite, and possibly only, eating place. As he exited the bar he bumped right into someone, almost knocking them over. Sorry about that. It was my fault. Naruto apologized, as he looked up into those void pale white eyes that always sent a shiver down his spine. Those eyes just don't look right. At least that one girl in my class with those eyes has some color to them, but these ones are just creepy. As Naruto was getting up he was roughly shoved back down to the ground by one of the other two Hyuga. How dare you act in such a callous way to us, you little brat. What do you think you're doing attacking one of the noble members of the Hyuga clan? Said one of the two bodyguards forcefully, the disgust and hatred clear in his voice. Attacking? I just bumped into him. I even apologize, pleaded Naruto, trying to avoid another fight with the villagers. Too little too late, demon. Naruto then received a harsh chakra-enhanced strike, sending him right into a nearby wall, leaving a few cracks from the impact of his body. At this point Tucci was heading over to help, but one look from Naruto stopped him in his tracks. While straining with the pain, and spitting out a little blood, Naruto said to his assailants, I don't know what your problem is with me, but I already apologized for the accident, and I don't want trouble, so I'll be going home now. Naruto struggled to his feet, and began to shamble in the direction of his apartment, only to hear the words that would haunt him for months to come. Not that he was afraid of the Hyuga, far from it. It was the truth in the words that hurt him so. Even if he didn't want to believe it, he knew they were telling the truth. As if a demon like you has a home to go to. No one's waiting for you, no one wants you. You're just a little demon who will never be accepted by anyone. Worthless. The one who seemed like the leader of the three said these words with ice in his voice, and the most evil smirk plastered on his face. After hearing the icy words of the man, Naruto finally snapped. All the years of abuse, neglect, and indifference towards him flashed before his eyes. Every injustice, so-called punishment, and the glares filled with hate and loathing. He always hated the villagers for the way he was treated, but he'd always just pushed it away, and continued on heading for his dream. He knew acting out any more than he did would only give them more of a reason to hate him. This, however, was too much. He could deal with all the pain, loneliness, and hate, but to have it thrown in his face, his pride would never allow such a thing. In a rage he had never known before, his eyes flashed blood red, and he blurred out of existence, shocking the old man, and Aim. Then, just as suddenly, he reappeared right in between the three Hyuga. To say the three men were shocked would be an extreme understatement. One minute they were taunting the demon brat, waiting for it to start crying, and the next he appears right in their faces with those piercing red eyes burning into them. Using their shock, Naruto, in one fluid motion, kicks the legs right out from under the one Hyuga standing to the right of the leader with a sweeping roundhouse, only to pull ninja wire out of his sleeve, to wrap around the arms of the Hyuga on the left who tried to strike the side of his head, only for it to brush across his left arm. Too late Naruto realizes that the strike was some kind of, and, to his shock, his whole left arm went numb with a slight burning in it. As the pain from the strike set in, Naruto's rage disappeared as quickly as it came. Shit, what was that? He thought, now freaking out. I can't move my arm. This is bad. Why did I lose my temper like that? Two of them are obvious and I don't know about the other. I'm so fucked. I might have a chance against one. While Naruto was recovering from the attack, the first Hyuga was up again, and was able to land a devastating blow to the side of Naruto's head, sending him straight into the same wall as before, cracking it further. Take that, you insolent little brat. A hit to his head was making his mind swim, and Naruto was barely standing with the pain freshly pumping through him. You filthy little demon. How dare you disgrace the mighty like this? As a member of the head family, I will pass down your punishment. Looking on with dull blue eyes, Naruto could easily tell that they had gathered quite the crowd, and that the Hyuga in front of him was screaming something or other, and taking the strangest stance he had ever seen. Even though he was barely aware of his surroundings at the time, because of the pain he was in, he couldn't help but be interested in the Hyuga took his stance, crouching low to the ground, legs spread, stretching both arms in opposite directions, palms facing up. As he took this stance, he said the simple words, "You are within the field of my haki." Divination. While Naruto looked on with hazy eyes, all he could think was, why does this always happen to me? What have I done in my life, and what the fuck is he doing? After this simple thought, the last thing Naruto could hear was a roar of Haki Rocky Joy Ancho. Divination field: 64 strikes, 2 strikes, 4 strikes, 8 strikes, 16 strikes, 32 strikes, 64 strikes. Ha. One strike after another landed painfully on Naruto, and with every one he felt less and less, which he was thankful for. With the final strike, Naruto was thrown viciously into the same wall for a third and final time. The final blow was too strong for the already damaged wall to take, and it finally gave way and collapsed right on top of our hero, covering him from sight. Once the attack was finished, Aim was crying on her father's shoulder for Naruto's pain. Those times to do that to a child were Tuchi's only words to express his anger. Before the crowd had completely dispersed, the leader of the three Hyuga gave the simple statement, "Trash belongs in the garbage." With that said, several sadistic grins appeared in the crowd as they watched happily. Before either Tuchi or Aim could stop it, the two branch members had already tossed Naruto's broken body into a nearby dumpster and walked away behind the main family member, leaving the caring Ramen Cook to aid the fallen boy. Then flashback. "I can't let that go so easily," Aim Nichin said to Naruto solemnly. "Naruto-kun, what are you planning to do?" asked a very concerned Aim. Naruto looked serious for a moment before breaking out into a foxy grin. "It is better if you don't know, Aim Nichin. Just be sure to be open early tomorrow. I'll be needing breakfast when I'm done, and I'm sure you'll get a good laugh too." With that said, Naruto left the ramen bar with a black pack slung over his shoulder, filled with who knows what. There have been many pranksters in Konoha's history, but none as famous as Uzumaki Naruto. He has pulled more pranks than any other, and has yet to be caught for any of them by anyone other than Iruka, or the Sandaime Hokage, the legendary professor himself. And even then they have had a hard time proving he had pulled them, even though it was obvious he had. This alone has made him legendary for his stealth and pranking abilities within the village. He has even been able to prank multiple Chunin, Jounin, and any others that have gotten on his bad side. The only ones that seem out of league for Naruto's prank abilities are the Anbu and the Hokage himself. But that didn't stop him from trying now, did it? Even while being pursued by the Anbu, Naruto was still able to give them the slip somehow or another. The Anbu were always able to find him and even track him rather easily, but every time they had cornered him, he was able to disappear again. Many had started to believe he knew some advanced form of the Shunshin no body flicker or teleportation technique, but they have never found out if he did. Many just chalk it up to his foxy ways. After all these years of pranks, only Yumino Iruka has been able to capture the elusive blonde on a regular basis. Whether Iruka's skills surpass Naruto's, or if the blonde just surrenders to the scarred is unknown, but to this day no one knows how he always manages to escape. His knowledge of Konoha's alleys and shortcuts was second to none, almost infamous really, along with his own Warwick no Sexy, which was the cause of a lot of the escapes, but the mystery of how he does what he does is still a mystery. Tonight he wasn't playing a prank on just anyone, oh no. No Anbu, or ninja in general, could compare with this. Tonight he was going to prank the famous Hyuga clan, wielders of the Byakugan, White Evil Eye. The rumored all-seeing eyes. He had heard rumors of the White Eye's ability to see through solid objects, 360 degrees, the chakra circulatory system, and even the points. Scary, and supposedly it was supposed to do even more. This alone meant extreme caution. That is exactly why we now find our hero hiding behind a building on the edge of the Hyuga's compound. Using the cover of night, he is preparing for the upcoming mission. Changing out of his signature orange jumpsuit, Naruto began re-examining his plans for the night. Everything has to be perfect. Let's see, first I need to get past the guards, and then sneak into the first of the 4 buildings in the compound. Two of them seem to be living quarters, and the other one seems to be a kitchen and storage of some kind, with the last, apparently the main building, most likely filled with greeting halls, meeting spots, and other boring stuff like that. The garden that runs between the two residential buildings would be the best cover. I wonder why the family is split into two houses. They could have made it easier for me by all being in the same building. Naruto then looked more closely to try and see if there was some kind of trick to the one of the buildings that was actually a trap for intruders. Then he most likely would miss breakfast. It seems one of those buildings could hold them all, so why would they separate themselves? I don't see any traps, maybe they just like their space, but one of the sections seems to be more lavish than the other. I wonder if maybe there is a difference between the two groups. Naruto decided to finish his thought aloud. Well, it doesn't make a difference now. Naruto stood wearing black Anbu-style pants that seemed to absorb all light around them. They ended with basic black bandages wrapped tightly around his ankles, leading into black shinobi sandals with red trim that ended higher on his calves for better support. On his upper body he wore a skin-tight black long-sleeve t-shirt, black fingerless gloves, and bandages tied around the lower half of his face to hide the telltale whisker marks. This is much better. I wish I could dress like this all the time, but it took me nearly a month to save up for this set of clothes. With the little money I have left after my living budget, not to mention I had to use the HENG transformation to get into the store to buy them. Too bad I can't. I like orange and all, but it's just a little too noticeable. But if it wasn't for me having to learn stealth in bright orange, I probably wouldn't be this good. Maybe I could get a black and orange outfit, or maybe just a mask. Well, that's enough daydreaming, it's time to move. Before Naruto ran off, he tied a long black cloth over his head, hiding his hair completely to finish his disguise. They may be able to see through solid objects, but it doesn't hurt to be safe. Moving as quickly and quietly as he could, Naruto jumped the outer wall of the garden, and while staying in the shadows, he began circling the inner wall of the compound, looking for an opening in the guard's watch. Luckily for him, none of them seemed to use their prize Byakugan. I was worried that this was going to end before it began. The arrogance of the Hyuga was ridiculous. Only one guard was stationed at every entrance to the complex, and 3 walking the grounds. Not even guards at the doors to the houses. After circling the grounds twice, he finally saw the perfect opening. With a burst of chakra-enhanced speed, he rushed to the tree closest to his target, and with a quick rebound off the tree he flew to what he assumed to be a hallway window. The closest guard looked around to see what the rustling sound a moment ago was, but only found a slight unsettling of dust. With a slight shrug, he decided to patrol the houses just to be safe. Once inside, Naruto quickly merged with the shadows of the walls, just as he was trained to do. He then began his search for his intended targets. While moving from room to room, Naruto practiced paranoia he had never known. At the slightest noise, moving shadow, knew centered just an out-of-place shiver on his skin, he would henge into a rock or other common item in an instant. It was a good practice too, as his paranoia had saved him a couple of times from a guard making his rounds. 3 hours after the start of his infiltration, Naruto was reaching the end of his job. Slipping into every room of the compound proved to be more of a challenge than he had thought it would be. The place was huge, almost maze-like, but he had still done it. Now, in the last few rooms, Naruto was getting the biggest swell of pride for his own accomplishments, since he had mastered Kawarimi no replacement without hand seals. He hardly got recognized for anything other than pranks. At least when he pulled pranks, people were awed until they discovered it was him. Some praise is better than none. As soon as he entered the next room and began to acquire his target, he caught a familiar scent that made his stomach drop. The only thing that he could think of was Hinata. As he turned to look at the sleeping girl in front of him while holding a pair of lacy violet panties, several thoughts ran through his head, but the most prevalent was, I can't do this to Hinata. She's never done anything to me. She's actually been one of the nicest people in the whole village. Also, I had no idea Hinata had this kind of side to her, he thought while putting the panties back and finding a lot more racier ones in varying colors and designs, earning a raised eyebrow. As he thought of this, images of a blushing, stuttering Hinata that was complimenting him in a quiet, almost whispering voice entered his mind. Next came all the times he spotted her following him with that same blush, as well as her habit of poking her fingers together. He couldn't help but wonder why she follows me sometimes. She also hides whenever I turn her way or try to approach her. She obviously isn't following me around to talk. Maybe there's another reason. With a slight blush he decides, no, he couldn't do it, he couldn't prank her. With one last look at the peacefully sleeping girl, he slipped out of the room just as quietly as he had come. Now to finish the job and get out of here. Good night, Hinata. I hope you like the show in the morning. The following morning in Konohagakure no Sato could only be described as pure chaos. All over the village, in trees, on the ground, hanging from just about everywhere you could think to look was the entire Hyuga clan's clothing, from their signature cream-colored jackets to their unmentionables. While the entirety of the Hyuga clan was out gathering what was left of their pride, our blonde hero was sitting at his favorite restaurant, enjoying a well-earned breakfast, the food of kings, ramen. Even though Naruto had just gone an entire night without sleep, here he was in the same clothes as the night before, except for the absence of the cloth covering his hair, wrappings around his face, and the addition of his signature orange jacket hanging open showing off his tight black shirt. He also had his goggles hanging around his neck, as he listened to the praise of his favorite chefs. "I can't believe you actually did it, you little brat," was Tuchi's boisterous congratulations. "Everyone is going to be talking about this one for years." "Naruto-kun," was the excited comment from Aim. "Ha ha ha, I hope so. What else would you expect from the next Hokage when he pulls a prank?" Then taking a more serious tone, Naruto said, "This was really meant to drop them down a few pegs though. Really, how does a prank do that? I understand having their clothes, and well, you know what's thrown all over the village being embarrassing, but how would it drop the view of their skills or reputation? The Hyuga are one of Konoha's 4 noble clans after all," asked Tuchi, as he handed Naruto another bowl of ramen. "Well, it really means nothing to normal villagers, but as a funny prank. On the other hand, to train shinobi it's a matter of village security." Not only was the compound of the most powerful clan infiltrated, but every room was entered and raided without notice, was Naruto's response with noodles hanging from his mouth. "Okay Naruto-kun, but what does that prove other than that you're sneaky?" Aim asked with a grin, while serving another customer. "Well, let me answer your question with another one. If I could sneak into their compound, to steal their clothes, by entering every room one by one without being noticed, what's to stop me from sneaking in there, and slitting their throats while they slept?" When this was said, the entire restaurant went silent with shock. The few people that were in the building this early were listening intently to the legendary prankster's explanation of his masterpiece. Now the realization that an academy student, a legendary one, but an academy student nonetheless, could possibly wipe out the Hyuga in one night was alarming. It would be like the Uchiha all over again. If the demon brat could do this, then who else was capable of it? Even the most skilled shinobi are powerless when asleep. Before anyone could say another word, a loud scream of, "I found him. He's over here," came from just outside the shop. When Naruto peered out, he saw 2 Hyuga, 3 Chunin, and 1 really pissed off looking Hyuga Hiashi. "Haha, hi guys, bye guys." And with that the chase was on. Throughout the village people could hear the screams of, "Get back here brat. You won't escape this time. You've gone too far this time Naruto," and of course his favorite, "Get the demon." Even with all this, Naruto couldn't help but have fun with the chase. "You losers are just jealous that you don't have the skill or guts to do what I do," called Naruto while jumping from building to building. "Get back here Naruto. You will be taken to see the Sandaime for punishment. If you give yourself up, your sentence will be reduced," came the cries of his pursuers. The chase had started at around 6 AM that morning, and was already well into 8 o'clock, and they were still not even remotely close to capturing Naruto. "This kid is insane. How can he have this kind of stamina? We never should have split up from the main group." While the two were having their strategy meeting, Naruto was having a nice breather on a high balcony. "These guys just won't give up. Normally I would just hide for a while to rest, but with Hyuga after me, I can barely stop for 2 minutes before I'm found. At this rate I'll be caught for the first time." With this grim realization, Naruto decided to try and get to the academy as fast as he could, especially since his exam was supposed to be in a little over half an hour. Moving with the shadows, he headed in the direction of the academy, but before he could get more than 25 feet there was a cry of, "There he is." As Naruto spun around, all he could do was yell his horror at what he was seeing. "Fuck no." Standing in the direction he had just come from was a group of 9 Hyuga guards, 6 Chunin, 2 Anbu, numerous random villagers, and what looked like at least 15 Hyuga females with a kill you painfully look in their eyes. With that sight, and a large amount of fear, he was off. At around 9 AM Naruto had finally lost them by using every trick he knew. Every shortcut, dead end, camouflage, henge, kourimi, and, to his great displeasure, he had even resorted to using his work no. He had only really created that to improve his skill with henge, and to prank Iruka. He had never dreamed one day he'd be relying on it. As Naruto was slipping around the last corner on his way to the academy, he let out a breath of relief, saying, "I finally made it. Hehehe, I knew those bakas could never catch me." From behind Naruto came a calm and slightly mocking voice. "Oh really Naruto, what are you doing, being late for class? And not only that, but you almost missed your exam." If Yashi's glaring, the group of murderous women, an actual Anbu chasing after him had been scary, then this was just plain terrifying. With a scream of fright and a 12-foot jump in the air, Naruto spun around and pointed at his sensei, yelling, "How do you always do that?" Looking at Naruto with a bored expression, Iruka just grabbed him by the collar of his jacket and disappeared in a puff of smoke with a pair of Anbu right on his tail. Inside the classroom, all of the students were chatting amongst themselves on various topics, waiting for the exam to start. The main topic, though, was of course the great Hyuga humiliation. Questions of, how could that happen? They did it. Aren't the Hyuga supposed to be all-seeing? There were just a few that flew about the room as the children continued. Some of the more arrogant in the room would reply with foolish ideas like, "It must be another hidden village trying to prove something." It must be a new invisibility, and the Hyuga were the test. No, it's got to be some new kind of Keke Genkai that can block the Hyuga's power. After about 20 minutes of the students' minds running wild, Iruka puffed into the room with Naruto by the scruff of his neck, followed by the two Anbu that were escorting them, ready to grab Naruto at a moment's notice. At the entrance of these four, everyone went silent to watch what would take place, as well as observe Naruto's change of clothes. The first thing the students notice is the long black Anbu-style pants that end with wrappings, and modified black shinobi sandals with red trim. Next they see the long-sleeve skin-tight black shirt and fingerless gloves, as well as his signature orange jacket. He also wore his goggles around his neck, making his hair appear longer, and it flowed around his face slightly. It hung lower, and made him look older, and more serious to some. Or it could just be the air of tension with two Anbu in the room. Many girls blushed at the sight of the slightly toned muscles that shone through the tight shirt. Since most of the boys wear such baggy clothes, it's a rare sight for them. But what catches everyone's eyes the most are the chains attached to Naruto's wrists, ankles, neck, and all connecting to a plate on his chest with multiple chakra suppression seals on it. At this realization, everyone knew Naruto had done something big. The academy doesn't teach seals because they are considered high-level techniques and often dangerous. It does, however, teach to recognize common ones, such as exploding note fusion, basic fusion for items to be stored in scrolls for travel, and the fusion on those cuffs used on dangerous snooknin. Don't you think this is a little excessive, Anbu-san? Asked Iruka with a frown. With all due respect, Iruka-san, it took nearly 20 Hyuga, 8 Chunin, 4 Jounin, and the 2 of us Anbu to apprehend him, said the rat-masked Anbu. What? How could the dope be that strong? They needed that many high-level shinobi to catch him. He must have something up his sleeve, and I must have it, was the unbelieving thought of a scheming student. If it was not for the Hokage's order to turn him over to you for his exam, he would be in a class 3 holding cell waiting for his sentence, was the calm reply from the bear-masked Anbu. I understand that, but with these chakra cuffs on, there is no way for Naruto to take the exam. I would ask you to please remove them and leave him in my care. I will take full responsibility in making sure he appears for his hearing with the Hokage tomorrow, Iruka forcefully suggested with a rather familiar glare to the two Anbu. I'm not sure about this. What if he runs again? Rat asked with uncertainty in his voice. Unless you already forgot, Anbu-san, I was the one who finally caught him after you all failed for over 3 hours, said a smirking dolphin. After a moment of silence, the bear Anbu did a number of hand seals, too fast for any of the students to follow, and removed the cuffs. He's your responsibility now. Don't come crying to us if he gets loose, Bear plainly said. Thank you, Anbu-san, and don't worry, I'll take care of him, Iruka said, placing a hand on Naruto's head. Oh, by the way, kid, Rat inquired, was Naruto's rather lethargic reply. Nice job on the Hyuga. I don't think even we could have pulled that off, said the Rat Anbu, clearly impressed with the boy. After the Rat Anbu said those words, the entire class collectively dropped their jaws on the floor, and the collective thought in the room was, Naruto did that. I've known Hiashi for a long time, and I have never seen him that mad, embarrassed, or impressed. Bear murmured in the same voice. Impressed? Naruto asked, unsure. Be a kid, when you're at the way, how did you do it anyway? Iruka asked. Now every person in the room was listening intently with their own thoughts on the matter. Stupid Naruto, you're so immature. Yahi's cha. Inner bitch. Naruto looks kind of hot in his new clothes and longer hair. I wonder what he would look like with highlights. This is too. I wonder, munch, if I can use, munch, the same method to sneak into the kitchen. Munch. Stupid Naruto, he's hugging all the attention. I'll get Akamaru to bite him later. Interesting. Naruto-kun, thank you for not doing that to me. I would have died of embarrassment. Wait. Naruto was in my room. I'm going to die. Did he find anything? Nothing of mine was missing. Wait, a pair of my panties were unfolded. Naruto-kun was touching my panties. The person who thought this blushed dangerously red before passing out with a nosebleed. How could the dope do something like that? The Hyuga were always the Uchiha's rivals. Could the dope be that good? He has been catching up lately. He's still a dope, but maybe I should keep an eye out. Every little thing that can help is worth it. Maybe I could use the same method for a sneak attack on my brother. Or maybe I finally have a decent sparring partner. I don't want to sound arrogant like sometimes, he said, sending a glare at a certain black-eyed boy, but to tell you the truth, it really wasn't that hard. When I first decided to do it, I was worried, but after a few hours of watching the security, it really wasn't anything special. Naruto caught the entire room's attention when he said this. They all were just too shocked to do anything but listen. Sandame's office. In the Hokage Tower, the Sandame Hokage, Hyuga Hiashi, the village elites, and the majority of the Council of Elders all listened to the whole discussion going on in Iruka's classroom over the Sandame's crystal ball with interest. Interesting, how is it that this boy was able to sneak into the Hyuga and then call it easy? Asked an intrigued red-eyed Genin. Well, let's continue listening, and we can find our answers, said Sandame with interest, lacing his voice. It seems your daughter has just fainted, Hiashi-san. Hiashi sighs, it would seem so, Sandaime-sama. I need to solve this problem with her soon before the elder's patience runs out. Sandaime-sama, do you really think it wise to let the boy go free, and even take the exam? A random jounin, with a scar along his jaw, almost screamed. After a deep sigh, it was simply a prank. Even though we, as shinobi, see it as more of a threat to village security to him, it's just his version of revenge, said the Sandaime with annoyance. See? Said the man frantically, the fox is after us, and it's starting with the Hyuga to weaken us before it attacks. We must kill it before it's too late. We never should have let it live so long, said the same scared jounin from before. In an instant the legendary professor was in front of the man, and in an icy voice that sent a shiver down everyone's spine, and reminded them just who their Hokage was by the rather noticeable killing intent being emitted. I have put up with closed-minded fools like you on this matter for far too long now. If you are a shinobi who does not possess the skills to see the difference between a hero and a demon, then you have no business as a Konohinin. The Sandaime turned around and headed for his desk. Leave now, and put your blade on my desk on your way out, was the flat command after the killing intent had dispersed. Hokage-sama, you can't be serious, said the stuttering jounin. Either that or take your time with Morino Ibiki. What? Said the jounin in horror at the idea of being at the mercy of the rumored sadist who commanded the interrogations and intelligence division. You broke the law. With this simple statement everyone knew what the Hokage meant. He may show leniency to the villagers for their barbs of demon or monster, as long as they don't touch Naruto, but for shinobi he has never been lenient on the subject. Please quiet down. I would like to hear how a 12-year-old academy student infiltrated my home, was Hiashi's calm request. Wait, I actually am very interested, as well, Kakashi added while looking over the edge of his ever-present book. As the scarred shinobi left the room, leaving his aide on the table, he scowled while vowing to himself, I'll get you demons someday. Iruka's classroom. Well Naruto, how'd you do it? Iruka asked a second time. I'm not sure what I want to say, was Naruto's shaky reply. Why don't you, Naruto? Asked Iruka with slight irritation. It's one thing that I was able to do for a prank sensei, but I don't want just anyone to be able to do the same. I mean the Hyuga are a bunch of stuck-up times, but they're still Konoha shinobi. Really now, is that true? Was the simple comment from the Baranbu. Yeah, I mean I was only after their clothes to play a prank, but what if a foreign shinobi was sent to kill them? With the knowledge of what I say now they could all be gone by morning, couldn't they? Naruto said looking down. Sandaime's office. So I guess Naruto-kun wasn't as close to what this prank could mean, as I thought, stating the Sandaime with a slight cough, a little embarrassment in his voice. Correct Hokage-sama, but it is of utmost importance that I learn how he did it, so I can correct my security problem, Hiashi said with the classic Hyuga indifference firmly in place. Just give Iruka his time, I'm sure he'll get it out of him. Naruto may be more than he appears, but he is still lonely, and hurts 12-year-olds looking for attention. The chance of getting any kind of positive attention for once will be too tempting for him to resist, one chain-smoking jounin added. Do you really think it's that simple? Hiashi asked with a raised eyebrow, as his only expression of curiosity. Naruto has always wanted a family, or at least a friend, but even something as simple as a friend has been denied to him by the villagers. The only thing that seems to keep him going is the hope for the future, and his dream. He strives to prove to them that he is something other than what they see, even though he doesn't know what they see him as. If he ever found out what it is they see when they look at him, the Sandaime closes his eyes, as if in deep thought. What Hokage-sama? Asked the red-eyed jounin with honest concern. I'm afraid we may lose him. With that said, Sandaime returned to staring into the glowing crystal. Iruka's classroom. Naruto, don't you think it's better to let others know of their flaws? That way they can be fixed instead of letting them stay that way. If the Hyuga can be so easily infiltrated, it could be a danger to the village. Iruka said with sincerity in his voice. While this was being asked, Hinata was waking from a rather exciting dream of Naruto to hearing the current conversation's direction. Naruto-kun, you're amazing. I can't believe you were able to do it, or that you were in my room. Doing what I think you were. With that thought, the images of Hinata's recent dream passed through her head, and almost sent her into blissful unconsciousness again. Alright, but if I'm going to go through all this, why don't you get one of the heads of Hyuga here, so they can hear it, as well? I don't want to repeat this again, was Naruto's defeated reply. At that moment there was a puff of smoke to signify someone entering, and not just any Hyuga had appeared, it was Hiashi himself in all his emotionless glory. Please, continue. I am most interested in how lowly academy student was able to enter, not only my home, but my own bedchamber unnoticed. Toussaint is here. Naruto-kun, I hope you will be alright, thought Hinata, as she looked on with worry. Shit, well I was hoping not to see you until the hearing, and I don't appreciate being called lowly by you. Naruto said with a very foxy grin. Why is that, Naruto-san? Asked Hiashi. Well, first I'm the one who got past those so-called all-seeing eyes of yours, so I doubt that I'm lowly. Also, it's normally not a good thing to be in the same room as the man whose boxers you hung from the Hokage tower. said to Naruto with the foxy grin still in place. As he said this he pointed out a window, and lo, and behold hanging from the heights of the tower, were a string of about 15 pairs of cream-colored boxers, one of which had orange spots on them. Hiyashi's face lights up a bright red followed by giggles from the class. He then gave Naruto a glare that made the entire class, especially Hinata, cringe. Please. Tell me Naruto-san why you found the need to humiliate not only myself, but my entire clan. A hint of anger entered his voice. Alright, I guess I could tell you. Well, Naruto's mouth went on autopilot, retelling the events of 2 nights ago outside Infiltrating. His mind was busy sorting through all the information he had on his classmates to make sure it was alright to tell them about his trip into the compound. Let's see, first off is Yamanaka Ino. A rather pretty girl with long blonde hair which she keeps in a ponytail, has blue eyes, and wears a purple outfit with bandages wrapped around her legs and midsection. She has good shinobi skills, but just like almost every girl has an Uchiha Sasuke obsession. Also, she's the heir to the Yamanaka clan, which uses mostly mind-altering nin and genjutsus. She's no threat, she may be a gossiper, but she has to keep the details of her family secret, so she clearly knows how to keep important secrets. Per no soccer, she has shoulder-length pale pink hair that she keeps tied back with a red ribbon, jade green eyes, and a red Chinese dress with a white circle on the back. She's probably the weakest kunoichi in the whole village, but is decently skilled on the basics, and very book-smart, but that's about it. She also screams like a banshee, and she's hopelessly infatuated with Sasuke. When I first met her I found her rather cute, but that died quickly after the first time I asked her to hang out or train. She screamed right in my face that I was a loser, and couldn't compete with Sasuke. That ended that attraction rather quickly. Overall she should be smart enough not to tell anyone, so she's no threat here. Hyuga Hinata, a shy girl with short indigo hair, lavender-colored eyes, and soft features. She wears a baggy coat emblazoned with the burning flame, the crest of the Hyuga, the most prestigious clan in the village, and probably the country. She also wears black trousers and normal shinobi sandals. She's very shy around people, and often blushes when I lock eyes with her. Otherwise, she's one of the better students in the class, great intelligence, excellent combat, and survival skills, never gloats about her achievements, and is very humble. One of the more likable girls for her lack of a Sasuke obsession, and the fact she always acts so nice to me. Of course she's nice to everyone so I shouldn't take it special, but so few are nice to me it's hard not to. Well, she is a Hyuga, so she clearly won't be telling people how to sneak into her home. Then again, those panties I could be all wrong about her no. Nara Shikamaru. The guy who complains about anything, and says everything is mendicus, troublesome. He has long black hair that he keeps up in a pineapple reminiscent manner. He wears a thin grey vest over a fishnet shirt, and black knee-length trousers. Despite his slacker attitude, he's a fucking genius. At least that's what I can figure out from his frequent games of shogi, and go he plays in class. Heir to the Nara clan which uses shadow-based dot. If he's even awake to hear this then he won't tell anyone it would be 2. Threat level, 0. Akamichi Choji. A big bone guy who often stuffs his face with chips he pulls out of his ass, and is Shikamaru's best friend. He has brown hair, and swirls on his cheeks. He wears a green overcoat with matching shorts, and a white shirt that says Eid on the front with bandages on his arms and legs. He excels in heavy striking taijutsu, thanks to his family's art of increasing the size of their bodies and limbs. He hates it when people call him fat. I would avoid doing that at all costs. He is the heir to the Akamichi clan. He would never betray Konoha, besides Choji's too nice to spread around info like that even if he stops eating he's no threat. Inuzuka Kiba, a boy with a very feral appearance that smells, and even acts like a dog. He's loud enough to give Sakura some competition, and always brings a small dog with him in his coat, named Akamaru. He wears black pants, and a fleece-cuffed hooded jacket. I just call him Dog Boy. The only thing that he has that is greater than his loudness is his arrogance. He's heir to the Inuzuka clan that raise dogs, as nin animals, and trackers. Most of their jutsus seem to revolve around the partnership with them. They also seem to possess slightly heightened senses that can be strengthened by adding chakra to their noses. In the end he's got a strong pack mentality, with Konoha being his pack you never betray the pack. Aburam Shino. A silent guy that speaks only when necessary, and is very intelligent. He wears dark round sunglasses, a high-collared gray coat that covers the lower half of his face, and brown pants. His hair is spiky and unruly in appearance. As far as I know, his family is very mysterious, and he's ruthless when fighting. He likes to talk to bugs it seems. All I know about his clan is that it's rumored that they use bugs as weapons. He would have to talk to someone other than his bugs for him to tell people. Then again, they say it's always the quiet ones just look at Hinata. And finally Uchiha Sasuke, best in class, village heartthrob, and born from one of the greatest clans in the village. His clan was all wiped out about 5 years ago, and now he's declared himself an avenger of a noble cause to find and kill the murderer of his clan. He has a handsome face, black spiky hair, and onyx eyes. He wears a blue turtleneck shirt, white shorts with bandaged legs, with white slips over his forearms. He and I have always been silent rivals. He's always been ahead of me in classroom abilities, but I never cared about that anyway. He won't tell anyone, he keeps everything to himself, in hopes that he can use it, as a typical Uchiha. Naruto took a breath before resigning himself. May as well just get this over with, was how Naruto finished his thoughts, before catching up with his mouth. After that strange was over, I was unconscious for about 20 to 35 minutes. Once I woke up, Tsuchijichi and Aim Nichin told me that the other two had thrown me in the dumpster next to the stand before leaving. It took me about another 15 minutes before I could feel my chakra normally. Then once I could move, I headed off to plan my revenge, prank. Naruto finished his explanation with a little slip of the tongue. You recovered from a Haki Rocky Juai Ansho in only 35 minutes. Was the shock statement from Iruka. As Naruto looked around the room, he could see the Anbu had tensed, Hiashi was glaring at him, and Hinata was looking starstruck, all of which made him somewhat curious. Is that special or something? I was kind of out of it at the time, because of the strike to my head, but it didn't seem that powerful. When Naruto finished, he heard a sharp intake of breath from a few select people. Naruto-sen is one of the 5 strongest the Hyuga clan possesses. While we do possess much stronger ones, it normally takes a person at least a week to recover from a direct hit like you received. For you to do it in less than an hour, with no medical attention, is impressive. Though he was truly thinking it was impossible, even though he was looking at the proof right in front of him. You do realize if you had come to me with this, I would have dealt with them myself. You didn't have to punish my whole clan for the crimes of 3. Hiashi said a little reluctantly. What? Asked Naruto, honestly confused about what Hiashi meant. It is against clan law to use any of our high level in such a way. They are only to be used in serious situations, and a street brawl is definitely not a serious situation. After your punishment, I would like you to point them out, said Hiashi while glaring. Not only had the offending Hyuga broken clan laws, but they committed assault, possibly treason, and may have broken the Third's law as well. Their fate would be up to the Hokage if they broke that law. Naruto looked serious for a second. Okay, how about we leave it at that, and I finish my explanation. It's already 10:15, and I still need to take the exam, said Naruto while sweat dropping. That's right. I'm sorry, Hiashi-sama, but I will have to ask you to leave, pleaded Iruka. My apologies, Iruka-san, but until I hear the explanation, I will not be leaving, stated Hiashi, believing Iruka did not understand the seriousness of the situation. You will be attending the hearing to decide Naruto's punishment, won't you? Of course, how could I not? Well, he will have to explain it again in front of the council anyway, so you can hear it tomorrow with the rest. I'm sorry, but I really need to start the exam right now, Iruka said forcefully. After glaring at one another for a moment, Hiashi finally decided to back down for the time being. Very well, Iruka-san. I will see you in the council meeting tomorrow, Naruto-san. With that, Hiashi passed out of the room. After some murmuring from the students, Iruka began the long process of regaining control of his students. Sandame's office. He disappeared rather quickly, Hyuga-san, Kakashi said in a bored tone. Well, if the boy was going to need a Hyuga present to tell his story to, why not the head of the clan? Said Hiashi with a raised eyebrow. I suppose, but I believe it was a good thing Naruto held off telling everyone. I don't believe this is something an academy class needs to hear. As soon as the hearing takes place, and he's made his statement, I will classify this as a top-secret village security issue, said the Sandame in all seriousness. If that is what you think is best, Hokage-sama, Hiashi stated in a relaxed tone. You are all dismissed for today. The ones who need to be at the hearing know who you are. I expect you to be there by 10 AM, Kakashi. Don't be late, or I will outlaw Jiraiya's smut. With that, everyone filed out of the Sandame's office, leaving the wizened leader to his own thoughts once again. You're just one surprise after another, Naruto-kun. I wonder what headache you will create for me next. Hopefully it will be one that won't require as much paperwork. Damn paperwork, thought Sandame, as he pulled out his own copy of Icha Paradise, making sure he was alone. Iruka's classroom. Alright, Naruto, please take your seat so we can start. I will now explain the Genin exam. We're running close on time, so please hold any questions until the end of the explanation. After Iruka had said this, Mizuki walked through the door with a couple of sacks and a stopwatch. Iruka, what's going on? They haven't even started the written test yet. They should be ready for the practical exams by now, was Mizuki's clipped reply. Well, we became a little held up, so we're behind by about 30 minutes, Iruka said this, sending a glance at Naruto for Mizuki to follow. After some annoyed glaring at Naruto from Mizuki, he said, well, I suppose that's alright. I'll pass out the test, will you explain it to them? Mizuki said while putting down the bags. Thanks, this test will come in 5 parts to determine what you have learned in your time in the academy, and make sure you can function properly in the real world. You were not only taught shinobi skills here, you were taught the basics of life. Correct, Iruka-sensei. Even though you will not fail, because of low scores in some areas of the exam, if you can't perform at least the basics well enough, you will definitely fail, was Mizuki's comment, as he passed out the tests. Correct, Mizuki. The test will be given in this order. First will be the written test on information such as geography, history, maths, and tactics. Next will be the weapons test of kunai and shuriken. After that will be the obstacle course to test your ability to detect traps and your stealth ability. Next will be the taijutsu test. Finally, you will be tested on what is taught in the academy. More information will be given before each section begins. Any questions, anyone? After no one raises their hand, Iruka continues on. Alright, you will have 45 minutes for this test starting now. Any cheating, and you will automatically fail. Later outside the academy. Damn, that was rough. I didn't know I was that bad with things like history. Other than the geography, I could barely answer any of the questions on that test, Naruto said to himself looking down. It's okay, Naruto, the written portion isn't really a requirement, as long as you don't completely flunk it's alright. Iruka tried to reassure him. Thanks, sensei, but I think I really should have paid more attention. I thought I was better than that. Mizuki then called out, attention everyone. Next will be the weapons test. Each of you will receive 8 kunai and shuriken. You will be required to at least hit 4 vital points with each weapon, any less will be a failure. 2 will go at a time. First up. As the testing went on, with no true order to the names called, students threw their weapons, with no one getting higher than a 12 out of a possible 16. Then Mizuki called out, last 2, Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. As the 2 boys approached the posts with their weapons on their sides ready for use, their eyes locked, and everyone knew what was to come. Naruto may be a baka, but he's the only one that can come close to Sasuke with throwing weapons. It was a challenge between the 2. Well done, ready to lose again, was Sasuke's smirking challenge. If you're ready to give up your gay lifestyle, and use those fangirls of yours. At this, Sasuke blushes slightly, and glares harshly at Naruto, while a group of fangirls in the background are calling for Naruto's death for the insult, and Cat calls to Sasuke to take the advice. What would you know, slightly sputtered Sasuke. Alright, you 2 get ready, and start, yelled Mizuki. At this call, both of the rivals grabbed their weapons, and let them fly. The score for Sasuke is 6 out of 8 for the kunai challenge. Very good, was the comment from Mizuki. Next, Naruto scored 7 out of 8. Excellent job, Naruto. You were only 2 inches off on the last one. No way, Naruto no baka can't beat Sasuke-kun, was a screech from the foaming fangirls, mostly Sakura. Alright, shuriken are next ready. You won't beat me this time, commented Sasuke. Go. Again they let the weapons fly, and after the telltale clunk of metal hitting wood, Mizuki approached to score them. For shuriken, Sasuke scored 8 out of 8. Perfect score, Sasuke. Naruto's score is 7 out of 8. Naruto and Sasuke tie for the top score in the weapons test. That's not fair, Mizuki-sensei. Sasuke-kun should win, not Naruto no baka. At this, all the boys' sweat drop at the stupidity of it all. Girls, I'm sorry. That is what the score is, and that's it. Iruka said he was too old to deal with fangirls at the ripe age of 17. That's right, I'm the best. Naruto bragged lightly. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then, sayonara.